Welcome to the fastest daf in town. Today, Masechtas Kiddushin daf Samach Tes. We're going to begin on Samach Tes Manal by the new Mishnah. Says the Masnis. Rav Tarfon Oimer. Rav Tarfon's of the opinion that Yichol Mamzerim Li Tahir, that he's able to somehow, at least the next generation, purify Mamzerim. How is that possible? Ketzad Mamzer Shanas Shivcha. So if you have a situation where a man who is a Mamzer marries a Shivcha, so we say Havlad Eved. So the child, as we saw in yesterday's daf, really goes after the mother, and the child's an Eved. Therefore, Shichru, once she's freed, and the kid, Nimsa Haben Ben Chayrin, he's considered completely free. So therefore, he will not end up postling his children. It's possible that even though, of course, he's going to remain a Mamzer, that can't be rectified. But this is a way that he's able to have his children no longer as Mamzer. Rabbi Lezer Omer Harizet Eved Mamzer. The truth is, he is an Eved, this boy, but he's also a Mamzer. In other words, you can't do anything about it. So, says the Gemara, Iboihu. Rav Tarfon, when Rav Tarfon says that this Mamzer can go and marry a Shivcha, is that L'chatchila Kaimer or Diavad Kamar? Says Rashi, do we actually allow this? A Mamzer Noisa Shivcha Diksaver Dechik Siv Lo Seir Kaddish B'Yisrael Kosher Ksiv Lo B'Mamzer, that the pasuk is specifically excluding a Yisrael, a kosher Yid, but not a Mamzer, or maybe B'Diavad, that he's not allowed to do it at all. So when it says Ki Lo Seir Kaddish, so that drasha is even referring to a Mamzer. So Tashma. Amrulu Rav Tarfon. So it said to Rav Tarfon, Tihartas is Charim. You purify the boys. But Tihartas in the caves, but not the girls. Says Rashi, Shielchul Makom Shein Makirin, they can go to a place where no one will recognize them. But Yermer Eved Ani, I'm a slave. But Noisa Shivcha, the guy's going to go and marry a Shivcha. Vein Moicha Biado, is going to say a word. However, Ves in the caves, Lo Tiharta. Ein Derech Isha Ligalois. How this girl, a girl who's a mamzeres, is going to go to some foreign place? Levakesh tachbulois. She's going to end up asking hinase beseser to get married to this other guy. Almar Rav Tarfon diyavid kaimar. This must be a case of Rabbi Tarfon allowing this man to do this is only b'diavad. Deal chatchila givan de'ein moichin biyada mamzeres nami tinsil eved. If in fact no one would protest it, that maybe it's allowed, so then why would we say it's not an issue also for the mamzeres? So that's how the Gemara learns it. Let her marry an Eved. So Eved ein loy chais. When it comes to an Eved, he has no lineage. Says Rashi, ein misyaches achar over. We don't go after the father. It says in Bereshis, Im hachamor, and we learned out in yesterday's daf that is daim l'chamor, so it's kebehema shein havlad karuch achrei av. We don't go after the father; we go after the mother. Hilkach im minsabol avda. If this mamzeris would marry this eved, lo mahani midi, it doesn't help because we go after her and she's a mamzeris, so the kid's still going to be a mamzeris. Tashma deush pezinche. Rav Simloi, the host of Rav Simloi, Mamzer Havi. Happened to be a little detail about that person. Yamerlei, and he said to her, I ak dam toch. If I would have met you before you got married, tihar tinhu live noch. I could have had your children become pure. Basically, he's saying, I wish you would have known before you got married. I wish I had known you before. I could have given you this eitzah. Now, a shopper that he's telling you, he could have done this. What is he doing? He's telling him b'diavad. So if it's b'diavad, he can't give this eitzah. The answer is the mansev le eitzah. So he basically, again, could present this advice, if you will, and maybe he'll end up doing it. Zil Genoiv, he'll say, go and steal. Vizdabin be'evid ivri, you'll end up being a Jewish slave. Uvishneidu Rabbi Simloi, Eved Ivri Mihavi. So I'm saying, you're talking about a case that he's an Eved Ivri, there's no such thing as Eved Ivri back then. Yomar, ain't Eved Ivri Noyel Bazman Shal Yovel Noyeg. And Eved Ivri was only time was Yovel. The time of the Mikdash. It must be it was L'Chatchila. He was actually telling him, I wish I would have known. I would have told you this. Some Rabbi Yehuda Mishmuel halach Reb Tarfon. Halach is actually Reb Tarfon that you have the ability to matahir children, which homiletically means that it's possible that no matter who you are, doesn't mean your children have to be the same way. At least if it's done exactly the way Reb Tarfon subscribes. Rabbi Lezer Omer Harizeh Eved Mamzer. No, we still say that the child's a mamzer. Some Rabbi Lezer, my time Rabbi Lezer. Why? Lo. The pasuk says to him. Halichacher psuloi. We always follow the psul, and therefore, if he's a mamzer, his kid's gonna be a mamzer. Rabbanan. What does he do with this pasuk lo? Hahubi Yisrael shenas mamzeres. That's referring to a Yisrael who marries a mamzeres. Salchadadach. I mean, you would think that we go after the father who is Yisrael. So asalo afge. So comes the pasuk loi to exclude. Rabbi Lezer. Even though it's true, there is this pasuk that generally tells us that we go after the father. Also, lo afte, the pasuk comes to exclude hachanami that we say that we go after the mother. Also, lo afte, sometimes we exclude there. Rabban kol vlad, any child kimei shimcha kanainis kavad b'mei behemadami. That when we compare Abdam al-Chamor. So a child in the mother's womb of a Shivcha Kanainis is no different than a Behema. Okay. Hadnulach ha'omer, Hadnulach ha'omer, Hadnulach ha'omer. Question 9. Keiti nicholim mamzerim l'taru Rav Tarfon amaduin mamzeris nekevus taharis b'derech zu. So we end up saying, again, that Rav Tarfon suggested that he's able to allow mamzerim to become tahar. If a mamzer marries a shivcha, then the child will be an eved, and then that's going to be fine. However, the other way around will not work. So this is how he writes it. The mamzer neisa l'chatchila of a lot of kamoya umutu lachar shicher. Of ein mamzeres nitaharis be'eved kivan ein l'chayis v'neham emen mamzerim kamoyisa. However, the other way around doesn't work because we say that an eved has no chayis. So therefore, it doesn't matter, even though it's true, if the woman is a mamzeres, it doesn't work, because if she marries a Yisrael or anyone else, we go after her. Okay. TB, TA, okay, TA there's nothing, and fine. Again, Hanlach Oimer, Hanlach Oimer, Hanlach Oimer. We're now going to learn the fourth and final parak of Masechtas Kiddushin. Asona Yuchsin Olu Mebavel. So, in the time of the second base of Mikdash, about to finish Golus of the time after Purim, so there's 10 groups of people that went up from Bavel to Eretz Yisrael. So, who are these 10? Kohani, Levi, Yisraeli, makes sense. Then you have Chalali, Geri, Becharure. You have Chalalim, which we said is the product of a Kohen Gadol to an Almana, Grush Kohen Hedget. Converts, freed slaves. Mamzeri, Nasini, who are the Gevoinim. Rashi says that were Gemalt in the days of Yoshua. Shtuki Vasufi, which we're going to explain exactly who these people are. So Kohani, Levi of Yisrael, we know a Kohen can marry Yisrael, Yisraelis can marry, Yisrael can marry Kohenes. So all three, a Kohen, Levi, Yisrael can all marry into each other. That's not a problem. Levi, Yisraeli, Chaloli, Geri, Charari, maternal bazabazeh. This is an exclusion of a Kohen. A Kohen is not allowed to marry a Chalol, cannot marry a Ger, or someone who is freed. But a Levi Yisrael, there isn't such a level of restriction. Says Rashi, of a Kohanim b'chalol ger b'charari lo shechalol lo b'lav, for a Kohen to marry a chalol that's a lav, giyaris u'mishuchareres b'chesra zayna. They have the status of a zayna, and on that the pasuk is l'sikach zayna. Geri v'charure mamzeri nasini shtuki vasufi kul maternal lavoy zebazeh. So when it comes to all of these people, they're allowed to marry into each other. They're even allowed to marry a shtuki. They're allowed to marry a sufi. No problem. The Elohin shtuki. So now we want to understand what is a shtuki, what's a sufi. Shtuki kol shehu makaris imoy. The guy recognizes his mother, but he doesn't know who his father is. So anytime the child says, "Hey mom, who's my father?" Shtika. They silence him because obviously there's an issue in that situation. So obviously because we don't know the status of who this father is, so therefore that is what it's called. A sufi is kol shenesav min hashuk ve'enu makir los avivas imoy. You have a child who is like an abandoned child. We'll discuss exactly what this means, which means we have no idea who the father is, who the mother is at all. But for some reason, we still maybe think that this is a Jew. Abashol hayakarish l'shtuki baduki. He used to call someone who's a shtuki, he would call him the baduki, someone who is checked. So we'll have to see what that means. Says the Gemara. So asar yuchsan ol Bavel. So a 10 yuchsan that went up from Bavel. So my Yuri Tani Olma Bavel, this the Holchel Eretz Yisrael. Why don't you just say they went to Israel? Why don't you say they went up from Bavel? So Milsa Geborcha Kamashwan, Kedisanya. The pasuk is accounted that you will go up and elevate yourself to the place which I have chosen you. That teaches us that since you will go up, it means that the Beis HaMikdash is higher than all places. Eretz Yisrael higher than all places. So, whether that means physically, even though Yerushalayim is built al harim savivla, there's a lot of mountains, mountainous ranges, but in addition to that, there is the notion that Eretz Yisrael is high, is maybe more spiritually higher. Okay, so Eretz Yisrael, I understand the first part. Now we're telling you that the Beis HaMikdash is higher than all other locations. It's a Har Maria. It's built on a mountain. That's why the pasuk says, when we continue the Samach Testament Beis, Divrei ribois b'sharecha, when there's a quarrel in your gates, v'kamte v'elisa, then you shall go up. And over there, again, that's how we learn out, that's referring to you're going up to the Beis HaMikdash. El Eretz Yisrael gavon mikol artzos menon. How do we know Eretz Yisrael is taller than all other lands? The future days. You're not going to praise Hashem and recognize the past greatness of leaving Egypt. That Hashem has taken us from the northern lands, all the lands in which I have been oppressed there. So therefore, again, it says also the same language, and therefore it must be referring to when we're going to all the lands and we're saying that we're going to go up. Obviously, it means that Eretz Yisrael is taller or higher than all other places. So my Iridatani Olu Bavel, so I understand why it says Olu. So it means that Eretz Yisrael is taller and your basement is higher than all places. Okay. That's what it's coming to tell us, that sidebar. So fact the Gemara, my Iridatani Olu Bavel, let's say it went up from Bavel. And this, the Ol Eretz Yisrael. Why don't you say they went up, still use the language of going up, but say to Eretz Yisrael. So Messiah Rabbi Lezer, I remember Rabbi Lezer, Ol Ezra Mebavel Ad Shiasak Sas Nakia, the Ol, that he waited until he was able to create, which is a Sas Nakia, actual complete purity and cleanliness in Bavel before he went up. Says Rashi, Shekol Atzmai Shel Ezra Lenakoi, says Bavel. His intention was to cleanse Bavel. We saw that everyone was all mixed up together. The Chachmim went up with him. So there's no one else that's going to remain in Bavel because now everyone's going to Eretz Yisrael to be able to make sure the Yichus is good. So he grabbed all the people who were apostle to come with him so that everyone in Bavel would be 100% clean and perfect. Skipping a few lines, Lishkas Agazos Haisa Sham Shasham Hayu Yoshvin Miyachse Kahuna V'Lavi B'Chol Yom Mr. Zahiri B'Psule. So in the Beis HaMikdash, which is going to be rebuilt, the second Beis HaMikdash, so therefore they were going to be able to figure out exactly who's a kosher, who's apostle. But in Bavel they couldn't do that. So therefore he had everyone leave and go up to Eretz Yisrael, all the people who are apostle. Itmar. Abai Omer Alu Mi'alehin Tanan. It says that they went on their own. Rabbi Omer Helum Tanan, that he basically, that's why he says Al Karcham, he forcefully brought them up. Fine. So Kamifli the Rebbe Lezer is actually Machos based on the words of Rebbe Lezer. Diam Rebbe Lezer Lo Ol Ezra Mebaba An Shiasam Silas Kasilas Nikia Ba'ola. That he made sure everything was pure. So Abaye lays later Rebbe Lezer. Abaye, who says they went on their own, doesn't hold like this. Because Rava is later Rebbe Lezer. Because Rava holds that he forced them, all the psulim, even though they didn't want to, he made sure that they did. Which means it makes sense. How is it possible that everyone puzzle left? That's because he forced them. That's what he did. Maybe everyone holds like that. Mar Sabar Afrushinhu, that he separated them. And they ended up going up on their own. Mar Sabar Malkarchayu Asukinhu, that they went up forcefully. According to one who says that they went up on their own, that's why he says Israel. All the lands is like dough to Israel. Israel Isla Bavel, namely that Bavel has the greatest yichus. So it makes sense. They all went up on their own. They forced them. So made the Yadinhu. How do we know? Everyone in Eretz Israel knew who was Puzzle. So the question is, I don't understand. So if all the Puzzle people left, Balkarcha, which means they forcefully brought all these psulim, they didn't just go randomly on their own. So if they went on their own, it makes sense how now Eretz Yisrael is not so clear who's kosher, who's puzzle, maybe. However, when it comes to when you force them, so we know who we're bringing. They're all puzzle. So if they're all puzzle, so we should all know it. So why is Eretz Yisrael any worse than Bavel? Everyone knows who's puzzle in Eretz Yisrael. Versus Nehi, granted, the Yade Lahu Dara, maybe they knew that generation. However, Dara Charini Lu Yade. Eventually, in Eretz Yisrael, it became forgotten. Bishal Mamadi Armor Olu, Hainu Nixiv. That's why when it says the Ekbatsame El Hanahar, that they gathered them up El Hanar Haba until this river Al Achava, then it says V'nacha ne Sham Yomim Shloisha, that they rest there for 3 days. Va'avina ba'am uvekohanim uvnei Levi l'matzasi sham. However, the Leviim we did not find there. Why didn't he find any Leviim there? Obviously, since he didn't force them to come. He was surprised to see there was no kosher people who were there. Elam, if he forced everyone, Zahiri, he would have been careful to make sure to bring all these Leviim. No. Nahid is har b'psulim, b'ksherim lo izdur. Maybe he was strict to make sure to bring the psulim to Eretz Yisrael, but maybe he wasn't as particular about having the ksherim come, and therefore, he didn't force the ksherim to come. Some of them came, but it turned out he was shocked to see that none of the Leviim were there. Kohanim Leviim of Yisrael, the Saliku. How do we know they went up? The Ksiv, the Yesho HaKohanim Leviim. There were Leviim from the nation. Hamashayim, those who play music and the guards watching gates. So the pasuk clearly says that we had Kohanim, Leviim, and Yisrael. That's what the pasuk clearly says in Sefer Ezra. Chaloli Geri v'Charari. How do we know that they were there? So Chalolim Nolan. How do we know that a Chalolim came to Eretz Yisrael? The Sanya. Rabbi Yossi Omer. Gedoyle Chazaka. Chazaka is great. Why? Shenemar, the pasuk says, "Bnei HaKohanim." The children of Kohanim, which were Bnei Chavia, Bnei Hakoitz, Bnei Barzilai, Asher Lokach Mebnois Barzilai, they were took from the daughters of Barzilai, Hagiladi Isha, V'Karei Al Shemam, and they were well known by their name. Eile Bikshu Kisavam Hamasyach Shem, they were looking for these documents. Nimsu wasn't found. The Galu Mina Kahuna, because we did not know their status, they were exiled from Kahuna. V'yomer hatir shasa. Tirshasa, Rashi says, is Nehemiah ben Chachinelo. It was called this name Hatishrasa, the one who makes things mutter. The Gemara Yishalmi explains, Shal Shem Shahaya Mashkel Melech Hayitzarech Lishtais. Kaidim, he used to drink wine in front of the king before the king drank. Shlo Yachshduhu Shema Hetel Sama Maves, in case it was poison in there. B'mashka Hamelech. So hatiru lo yain shel chachamim lishtos lekach nikra tirashta. Really, he shouldn't be able to drink this wine because it's wine of kachavim. It's yain akum, so it shouldn't be allowed. But we made a heter for Nehemiah, and therefore his name was. This is again found in Ezra Nehemiah. Ezra was called Hatishrasa. Fine. So he said, Asher lo yoichlu mikodesh kadashim. These people who we don't know their status cannot eat from Kodesh Kadashim ad Amud Koyin l'Urim B'Tumim until the base of Mikdash is rebuilt, and there's Urim B'Tumim because the Urim B'Tumim weren't functional even in the time of the second base of Mikdash. Okay, look at this Rashi before. Shir Melhem Nebuchadnezzar Shir Lanu Meshir Tzion. So Nebuchadnezzar said this. Amdu v'katzasu b'hoinai sidehem b'shinehem. Because Nebuchadnezzar wanted for them to play musical instruments, so because of that, they cut their thumbs. V'amrulo eich nashir ashir Hashem. How can we play for you? Al admas necher. Kol loy nashir lo nemar el eich nashir. In other words, they didn't want to be able to play these musical instruments because it was for the wrong reasons to Nebuchadnezzar. So they ended up harming themselves, making them puzzle. And therefore, among Sherem, we did not find anyone who was kosher. So we said that the din is they're not to eat Kodesh Kadashim until finally everything can be rectified. We say you're in your status. The fact that you're able to eat in Goyla, namely you're able to eat Truma in Bavel, B'kachi Gvul, Afkan Nami B'kachi Gvul. Also here in Eretz Yisrael, we're going to allow you to continue to eat Truma. So since you have a chazaka that you ate Truma there, so we're going to allow you to continue to eat Truma here, which is Gedoyel chazaka that we allow you to continue to do so. The problem is, if you hold that if you see someone eating Truma, that automatically shows their great status. So the problem is now we see these people eating Truma, but we know that they're not good. So what do you do according to the opinion that says that if you can be mal mitruma liyuchsan? Now hani the alcha b'truma asu laskinhu. We're going to end up causing problems. We're going to see them eating Truma, and we're going to end up getting confused and thinking that they're good when they're not. And we're answer shani hasam dereches kasayu. Their chazaka is weakened. It says Rashi, you don't have to worry that we're going to end up thinking, because of this group of people who are eating Truma, they're going to be mal yuchsan. Why? Everyone else is eating from the karbanos. The haim nigolu mehem, they're not able to do that. They see that they're not allowed to eat from Kodesh Kadashim. They can't eat their karbanos. We do allow them to eat Truma, but no one's going to think, oh, he's eating Truma, therefore we're allowing this person also to have good yichus. No, because we know that they're not allowed to eat Kodesh Kadashim. So therefore, because of that, they can eat the Truma without concern. So ve'elamai gedol chazaka. So why is it such a great chazaka? Demikara achal b'truma d'Rabbanan. L'masayv achal b'truma d'Oraisa. Because before, when they were in Bavel, they were eating truma d'Rabbanan, which is truma in Chutz La'aretz. Now we're allowing, even though they're in Eretz Yisrael, they can continue to eat truma. So that is the jump. Even in Eretz Yisrael, we're not going to allow them to eat truma d'Oraisa. Truma d'Oraisa is, as the pasuk says, Dagan Tirish v'Yitzar, referring to the grains, wine, and oil. However, the other foods is only Truma d'Rabbanan. So if that's the case, so why we're no real great chazaka, we're not even allowed to eat Truma d'Oraisa. V'chimas kinan metruma yochsem d'Oraisa. Maybe only time we will lift up a person who eats Truma is only if they're eating Truma d'Oraisa. Midrabanan lo maskinan. And therefore you're not going to be concerned if you see them eating Truma d'Rabbanan, because we only are mal mitruma yochsen dafke if it's Truma d'Oraisa, not Truma d'Rabbanan. Yihachi magdol chazaka dimikara leikla migzar mishum Truma d'Oraisa. Before, when they were in Bavel, you didn't have to worry about Truma d'Oraisa. The Saif afagav the ikla migzar mishum Truma d'Oraisa, but Rabbanan achol d'Oraisa loy achol. Even though you can maybe make a mistake and start eating Truma d'Oraisa in Eretz Yisrael, we're not concerned that they may end up doing so. But Nehemiah said, Lehem, that they can't eat karbanos. Because Hakol midi nechol, everything else they could eat, mashma, even truma deraisa. So hani hachikar, this is what he means. Lo midin mikri kodesh, lo midin mikri kadashim. Lo midin mikri kodesh, nechsebachol zol yoichel kodesh. You can't eat anything which is called kodesh, like karbanos. Lo midin mikri kadashim, yerekro, bas koyin kiseno ish zar, a bas koyin who marries a non-koyin, he betrumas hakadashim oy soichel. She's not allowed to eat trumas kadashim. What does that mean? You remember more min hakadashim, which is referring to the chaza v'shaik. On that, 2 more words, lo soichel, that cannot eat. Okay, we're going to stop there. We'll look at question 10. So, Keitzad hitter nechemil v'nei chavya shul motzu ksav yuchusam lecha b'truma al pi chazaka. How do we allow it? We're going to be concerned that they may end up causing problems. They're going to end up. Someone's going to end up thinking that they're actually good. So we had 2 answers. Question 10. One answer is we don't have to worry about it because shani hasam demeri chaskaihu, because their chazaka is weakened, and as again Rashi said, because they can't eat kachi kadashim. So a person sees them not eating that, truma deraisa is not going to make any difference. Alternatively, maybe we say the chimaskinan metruma yochsin is only b'deraisa, b'derabanan lo maskinan, and therefore because of that they only are allowed to eat truma derabanan but not truma deraisa. Okay, let's look at question TA6. Madua hitter nechemil v'nin hakohanim lecha b'truma madim b'truma yochsin. Identical question. Samach Testament Bays. That's TA6. Same question as question 10. And TB Lamandia Ramalan Mitrumal Yochsin Kated hitting the Chemel Nechavi Shulom Matziksav. Exactly the same question. And that one is TB7 Adkan.